Yeah, I need to get me a pair of those pants that Dr. Van Allen is wearing.
Whoa, slow down. Let's pad this out a little bit. We got to reach at least 34 minutes with this, so maybe play the theme song a little slower this time.
Hello and welcome to your Patreon exclusive episode of predictocast for the month of Sharktimber. You know what we do here on the podcast. I'm Josh, and with me as always is Skinner. Hey, Skinner.
Hey, Josh. Hey, patrons.
And because it's Sharktimber, over on the main feed, we were randomly selecting shark movies from a list that we had gathered, and we provided that list to our Patreon member this month, and that was Beth Aaron, and she picked for us Blue Demon. So that's what we're going to be talking about on this episode. We've just watched the first 10 minutes, and we somehow might have a theme going on this month without even that is deeper than the just it being shark movies, because this appears that they have done it appears they've done something to the sharks, and it's the next step in evolution, and it looks like they've melded some sort of human with a shark, because from the first couple of seconds of the movie, there is a shark with what looks like a human eyeball.
We see a CG eye on the screen, and they're giving kind of a voiceover of, next evolution of blah, blah. The eye looks back at me with uncaring. It's a killing machine, whatever. So hopefully this is a super shark or shark human hybrid. I hope to God they're at least doing it to cure cancer, because everyone knows sharks don't get disease, which they do, but apparently every movie from 1998 through 2006 that did not know that. And we have a movie. Okay, we said we watched the first 10 minutes. It's a bit of a lie. We watched the first 12 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yes.
Because this movie has the longest credits ever, and even when the credits are over, it wants to pad itself to an hour and a half by any means necessary.
It really does. Yeah, we've done this a couple times on the show where we felt like, because the credits were so long and they didn't convey any actual story, that we didn't feel like we got our 10 minutes worth of storytelling. So we did let this one play out a little bit, because I mean, my God, it's just shots of the water, and names on screen. We get nothing. So, yeah, it felt right to give us a little bit more, and we needed it. We really did, because we would have missed out on a character entirely if we didn't give ourselves those 2 extra minutes.
I feel like we would have actually, because this is one of those movies, like a lot of horror movies or thriller movies, or there's a killing something, where the first few minutes introduce young characters who are fodder to set up the real characters looking in on what happened to those characters.
Yeah.
So we would have missed the actual characters in the actual movie.
Yeah.
And that is Marla and Nathan. Marla being Dee Dee Pfeiffer, who is Michelle Pfeiffer's sister.
Is she? Okay. Cool.
And because we have a lot of, she's at least related. We have a lot of we have a lot of knockoff humans in this movie. We do. We have bargain bin stars, and not like stars that have fallen in stature.
We have bargain bin clones of stars, because
exactly we have the off-brand version of the stars.
We have the first the fodder, the people who are set up to die. And also this scene where the girls are where one of the girls is killed, that could have come before the credits.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the scene where the girl screams and we zoom in on her mouth, because that's hot. And we zoom out on the mouth of Nathan eating a sandwich because that's hilarious. That sandwich keeps coming back. I mean, that's a great scene and all. Hard to mess with high art. But that is where you actually, when she screams, you cut in on her mouth and cut out on a shark's mouth and fucking do the credits. Blue Demon versus El Santo.
Yeah, Blue Demon, by the way, just to be clear, we're not talking about the television series Blue Demon about the Mexican wrestler. We are actually talking about the shark movie from 2004.
Yes, we are not talking about the famous luchador, Blue Demon, who started many, many, many movies along with El Santo. So, no, we're talking about a shark. It's not Lucha Month yet. But
no,
what
not
month
yet.
would be Lucha Month?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question.
Lucha Timber?
Yeah, we'll brainstorm on that. But what I was going to say is like we have these weird like knockoff clones. So we have like in the little opening section with the dead meat characters, we have a girl who looks oddly like Jessica Biel and another who looks oddly like Hayden Panettiere. It was very off-putting and strange, and I was like, oh, did they just cast these girls as our characters because they look like them? And maybe they did, because I doubt they're in the movie anymore. Like, I would be surprised if we revisit these characters at any point in the film.
I mean, it's just before Jessica Biel was about to explode with stealth. Like 1 year. And like their costuming is like they watched season 1 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and said like, just get me all of that. She's gonna be wearing a belly shirt. She's gonna be wearing a short skirt with knee-high boots. And this girl is a nice girl, so she's wearing a cardigan. But then we'll strip her down to granny panties, and that'll be something for somebody. and not kind of humiliating to watch the actress do this.
Yeah, so we're hanging out at this caged like facility. It's got a lot of signs that say "Do not swim in the water," like "Do not enter military facility." Like they're standing outside. They pull out these giant bolt cutters and proceed to just cut through the fence as opposed to just cutting through the lock and opening the gate. But they cut through the fence. This is so that they can pad the movie even longer by having our quote good girl actress struggle to get through the hole in the fence. Like it feels like it takes her 30 seconds to get through.
It's so like, and it comes to nothing. Like we see the other girls get through this cut fence fairly easily. And we're like, and then she stops and she has trouble. Like you think maybe like, oh, some piece of clothing is going to come off. So like somebody later will like, oh, we know she was here because part of her sweater,
yeah,
in this case, bright yellow cardigan, is hooked on this fence. No, it's just to add 20 seconds. It's like when The Simpsons wanted to pad the runtime, or like they didn't have enough animation, so they play the full credits.
Yeah. I've been going back. We've talked about it on the show a little bit, but I kind of fell off. But now I've been going back and watching more Nightman. And you can always tell when the episode came in short because they'll have lots of like commercial break screens of the title card, or they'll have like a long musical montage where they cut through the city, or they even stuck in one in the middle of like an episode where they'd never done this before, where a character says, "Nightman will be right back." Like they'd never done that before, but you could tell that the episode was like 37 minutes and they needed to add 5 minutes of screen time.
It's like, maybe they're looking at the script and like, oh, in this episode, I feel like it's not going to be clear at this point that after the commercial break, Nightman will be back. We have to let them know because something about the script just makes everyone think, well, that's the end.
Yeah.
We have to let them know.
Well, it's 9:37 and this episode must be going off the air.
Well, maybe it was airing on TBS where everything used to end at like 35 after.
Oh my God, I hated that.
It was so stupid. They don't do that anymore. I don't watch TBS, but that was a thing in the 90s and early 2000s for sure.
Well, they thought over at TBS, they thought that ending at like 9:35 was very funny. So But these girls are there. They're doing we called it right before they said it, which is, I said, is this a sorority initiation? And then he said, do you want to be in the sorority? Delta Delta Chi? And I was like, okay, of course. And it's also the saddest sorority because apparently it's just these three girls.
One's Delta.
One's Delta.
One's also Delta.
And the other one's Chi.
Chi.
But they want the new girl. Her name is Alice?
No,
Alice.
Alice. Mel is the one who
dies.
Half the girl she used to be.
Yes, exactly. So Alice is the good girl. They want her to swim out to this buoy that's not that far away, but still far enough. And they want her to swim back.
They have to do it. They have to do it. They have to do it behind a cordoned off military fence saying, no, do not come in here. Do not go past this thing. This is dangerous.
Yeah.
So this is what the sorority is going to do to her. Because they make it like, they have big bolt cutters, which is a weird thing for sorority to keep around, except for unless they like rob banks or some shit, or they're trying to break into Fort Knox later. But you would maybe like, I could see doing the swim in the ocean at night thing, especially if the girl said like, I don't know how to swim very well.
Yeah.
But like, go the length of like, let's break into this military area, this cordon, and then do this. And then when they're caught, they're stunned.
Yeah.
But, which comes to nothing.
This is the equivalent of all those people who are going to try to rush Area 51.
And then like the leader who seems to be the most behind it all of a sudden is the one who shows concern. And then the other ones, I'm guessing is Mel, because like, it's hard to tell once you get in the water, but because she's going to be the one who's going to die, so we can have at least, sympathy for her. It's like, well, we don't want her in the sorority anyways. It makes you think, are they trying to kill her?
Yeah,
so she doesn't join the sorority? Because there's a very easy way to do this. Say no. When she pledges, like, no.
Well, it's weird because maybe they like do the normal, like, I was never in a fraternity, so I don't really know like the basics of what those kinds of things entail. Obviously, we've heard all kinds of stories about hazing and like all this awful stuff that can happen to people who pledge sororities and fraternities and whatnot. But like maybe she's the only one that they didn't want in. Maybe the other girls just got to get like really drunk and run around campus naked or something. But this girl, they're like, she really sucks, so we're gonna go make her swim in potentially polluted water in a government facility and get caught.
Right. I mean, worst case scenario, she dies. She doesn't get into the sorority.
Yeah.
Best case scenario, she gets some sort of weird disease from this government,
and she can't join the sorority.
And maybe later she dies. But like, she's such a square. She wears a cardigan.
Yeah, and they lie to her, and they basically say, we all did this too, so if you want to be in, you have to do it. But then when she walks away, they're like, yeah, we didn't have to do that, but we don't want her in the sorority, so it doesn't matter really what happens.
I like they have this conversation among themselves at this point, because they would all know this.
Yes.
They would not have this conversation.
But also, she could probably hear them.
The ocean's very loud. The call of the sea. It's siren song.
Yeah.
Overwhelmed. Have you ever listened to a clamshell? Not a seashell, a clamshell.
So Alice undresses, and she gets into the water and she starts to swim, and she says, oh, hey, there's something in the water with me. And they're like, yeah, nice try, whatever. And she swims through the buoy and is able to get out, and it is not attacked. So like, she comes out on top. So good for her. But suddenly the military police arrive, and they basically say, you're trespassing. This is the military police. We are going to arrest you, basically. And Bobo Jessica Biel is like, I don't want to get in trouble. If my dad finds out about this, I'm done. The other girls basically are like, fuck you. And they run off. They say they're going to take the back way out, which involves them stealing a boat that is conveniently placed.
A boat named Grego.
Yeah, a boat with Grego on the side. Maybe that's the boat brand. I like to think it's the name of the boat. And
like, it's just a speedboat. But it's funny because we really don't see, to save on money, we really don't see the military police.
No, it's just a guy in shadow.
Yeah, a guy in shadow with a flashlight. They like, well, all this goes, what we're gonna say goes on. They never come into scene to save any of the kids.
No,
we see the girl who stays give them a flirty look, like she's gonna try to seduce them into not arresting her.
Yeah.
But like the fence is like 5 steps away from where they're at. They apparently never take those 5 steps.
No. I think that speaking of the boat, though, I think whenever I write my memoirs, I'm going to call it A Boat Named Grego. But one of the girls is on the back of the boat trying to pull it out into the water. That's Mel. She suddenly gets pulled under and is kind of pops up out of the water and is freaking out and trying to get out of the water. She swims for the buoy as well. Alice, the girl on the buoy, is trying to help her get out. She grabs her arm, pulls her torn off arm out of the water. Once again, sharks don't like torn off arms.
They don't. As I keep saying, like, sharks will bite off arms. They will not eat arms. They'll leave them whole. And I was cheering for this to happen from the very moment that she's trying to pull her out. But because this movie is padded, it takes about 4 attempts of her almost grabbing her hand and getting pulled back down. Almost grabbing her hand and getting pulled back down. We should mention, in this scene, we do not see the shark.
No, we don't. So that's
okay. But we've been told, like, it's not like it's a mystery. Like, in the next scene, they'll say, like, hey, it's one of our sharks that we're the scientists. It's one of our sharks.
No, they think that it's one of their sharks. I'm going to suspect that it maybe isn't.
I wonder, because they don't show it, but like in the credits, at the end of the credits, we do see a hilarious fake shark.
We do see the CGI shark with a close-up on its like weird human eye, which reminded me of one of the openings. I think it's the first. Is it the first Resident Evil game where we get that close-up on the eye that's kind of looking around and then it like pulls back and we see the weird zombie face?
There's also this weird eye at the start of it goes around at the start of Altered Beast.
Oh, okay.
but like I was having trouble staring at its eyes because its big fake mouth was open and it's like jabbering at nothing. Like it's going aga yaga.
It's like when a dog or a cat just has its mouth hanging open unnaturally, and you're like, close that, please.
It's like I get it can bite, but like when it's not, it wouldn't have it at like. This isn't a basking shark. Why is its mouth so fucking open?
This is that this shark looks like that dog in the meme that tells the really bad joke and then like has its mouth open like very, very happily for your groaning reaction.
This is basically this is a meme shark. It's the newest. It's the newest one they've made in a lab. It's a shark made for memes.
We're gonna make this shark a meme, I think. So. We cut from her screaming mouth to a guy eating a sandwich, a real sad looking sandwich too. Just looked like a lot of lettuce and tomato on it. There wasn't really much going on there.
It's like a watercress sandwich or something, some sad shit, but they would eat in a different country.
So there he's walking to a lab. We cut to a woman, Marla. I'm assuming this is probably the woman who was talking at the beginning of the movie about them trying to work on the next step in human evolution and creating a monster instead.
I think so, because when they're showing the picture of the shark having broken through like the perimeter fence, she's like, oh, it's one of our sharks.
Yeah. She's got these hoops that she's trying to throw onto like a weird fish tank kind of. What is that?
I don't know. It's this weird.
It's like a water feature.
Yeah, it's a water feature. It's this weird combination of a science lab, a sitcom writer's room, and like the common area for a school, university dorm.
Yeah, it's very sitcom, like just in general. And the music here changes.
This fucking soundtrack, my God!
Like at least the first half with the girls, like felt like setting the tone for kind of a scary. Like suspense movie, like it's very creepy and eerie, and you don't see a lot, and it's very dark, and like it feels very weird. And then we get to this section where it just feels like everything is, it's like very like over the top and goofy, and we've got Marla and her ex-husband Nathan, the guy eating the sandwich, and they're still kind of going like this little tit for tat banter thing, and they obviously still have a thing for each other because they point out so often that like, it's your husband. No, it's my ex-husband. That's what you love about me. That's what I loved about you. Like they're doing that thing, and it's clear that they're going to be back together by the end of the movie.
They have this argument. They're going up this spiral staircase, and we have a fish cam eye, literally like this stupid camera shot from the top of the stairwell.
This building that John Doe lived in Seven, like this is what it looks like.
God, it looks
this old apartment building.
It's such a badly done shot, but it lingers on it for like a minute and a half while they have an argument over she doesn't like to use elevators. And he's giving her like, they invented elevators so many years ago, and you blah blah, and like they just go back and forth about elevators and stairs.
Wait, is she saying that she doesn't like the elevator because the elevator in their building was invented in 1853, or because elevators in general were invented at that point?
I think she doesn't like using them, and he's like, why won't you? It would save us time. It just goes back and forth for like a minute and a half. I'm like, this
honestly,
is why
elevators are not that much faster.
No, I take the stairs every day because I don't have to take the stairs shoulder to shoulder with like two other humans at the very least. But God, this is where the movie becomes a comedy, really, and this is where I can't predict what kind of movie this is. This is a Daniel Grodnick joint.
Oh yeah, writer, director, producer.
Writer, director, producer. I looked him up. He's done 1,000 things. Most of them are nothing. He is one of the producers on Powder.
Oh God!
So that doesn't tell me anything.
Well, it tells me that he's best friends with a pedophile.
But he is a former chairman and CEO of the National Lampoon. Wow. And that really strikes that one scene in the lab/writer's room.
No, this is the only thing he's directed.
He has executive produced
a bunch of stuff.
He's only directed this. So like after that happened, someone's like, no, thank you.
He apparently worked on the story for the Jamie Lee Curtis horror thriller Terror Train, but he wasn't credited.
Interesting.
That's interesting. And he also worked on Without Warning, which is another, like, I think pretty decently regarded horror sci-fi thriller. I don't think it's like perfect. I've never seen it, but I've heard some people that like do like it. So that's interesting. Like I didn't. That's pretty unique. But yeah, he's done production stuff on so many things.
But nothing like besides Powder and Bobby and those movies you mentioned. Like
actually, he was an executive producer on the new Fred Durst, John Travolta film, The Fanatic.
That's what I was working towards. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry I took that away from you, but man, man.
Yeah, that is the end goal for this person's life.
Boy, that's exciting. We may have to talk about that at some point.
I can't believe there's a movie called Stonerville. That seems a little on the nose. Who stars in Stonerville? Leslie Nielsen.
Oh.
Patrick Cavanaugh. Joey Diaz.
That's exciting.
I don't know any of these people. Yeah.
But yeah.
Emma Stone is in it.
Oh. All right. Cool.
One of her earlier roles. So there's nothing to say about this movie, by the way. Blue Demon. I'm padding the time because a scene is going to come up that is one of the ones I really hate in movies. They're going to see.
we should just talk about it and get it out of the way.
So they're going up these stairs for fucking ever, having this chat, and they finally arrive at the office.
Oh, I finally get the joke that he makes when he comes in and says that their boss wants to see them. He says, Hot Pants wants to see us. And I thought, that's a weird thing to say about your boss. And now I understand it, because when we get to the scene with the boss, he's wearing some interesting pants, we'll say.
It's a lot to mention the pants. They're loud enough to shine through in this entire very tacky scene. We come into the office, and the first thing you see are these lamps and statues that are basically kind of like half mermaid, half like bending backwards, arching chest forward, naked women.
Yeah, they're everywhere. He's got them like he's got them like they're sort of like an entrance way. Like you have to pass between these two giant naked women statues.
And now here I want to set up something for you guys. They're going to see their boss. Their boss is someone important, right? Big shot, in charge of their life, in charge of their grant, in charge of the project. with the sharks. The big guy. Wouldn't it be funny? Wouldn't it be so funny? And wouldn't you not expect if this character was a little person?
Yeah, it would be so funny.
I fucking hate this time. Like I know Elf did it, but with at least a point of like he confuses him with an elf. But like anytime the joke is, wouldn't it be funny this character is actually a little person? I just want to facepalm so hard.
Yeah.
And it ages worse every year.
Yeah, it's their boss, Lawrence Van Allen, our second Lawrence in a shark movie after Lawrence Rhodes in Shark Attack. It's played by Danny Woodburn, he's been in tons of shit, but he's probably best known as Mickey from Seinfeld, Kramer's friend, his acting friend. But he's their boss. And like that, literally the joke is that it's a little person. Like there's nothing more to it. Like you could have the same like beats, and the joke also is that like there's a second joke that he's wearing these weird loud pants. Like,
and also his desk is up on a podium.
Yeah,
so
it's like
he's eye contact with everybody.
Yeah, it's like on this big raised platform. It's like, so you could have the joke with the weird pants and just have any other actor, but they wanted that additional joke of it being a little person.
And I am absolutely for like hiring a little person for this role. It just doesn't have to be a joke that it is a little person.
Yeah,
like their boss can just be their boss and a little person. Instead, the whole setup is like, oh, bet you didn't think the boss would be a little person. Like, oh, fuck. And he's got crazy pants. And like, why? Like, well,
I think
maybe the pants will pay off later. Like,
no, I think it was that. I think it was the joke that I made, which is they said Hot Pants wants to see us, and then he's wearing these weird maroon pants with like looks like petri dishes all over them.
Maybe it's supposed to be like Paisleys or some shit.
Maybe, I don't know. Like, I think the joke. I think that him being a little person wouldn't have been a joke if the desk also wasn't on a giant platform.
Yeah, they're irreverent with him. He's trying to eat a sandwich. He's like, "Oh, I didn't have any breakfast." I'm like, then he cancels their project because their project apparently killed a girl.
Yeah, so he's
so are these the good guys?
Yes, I think
because
so.
They've created killer sharks that have already killed somebody.
Well, they are I think unsure that the sharks actually did it.
But we do know that one of their sharks did break through the barrier. They have a picture of it.
They think they did.
They show a picture of a fence with a hole in it and the shark went through it.
Yes, but what I'm saying is I think at this point they don't know that whatever they have done to the sharks has created a potential monster. I think the little voiceover that we get at the beginning in front of that weird fake shark is sort of like a wrap up thing. Like, oh, we did this and we didn't know it. And now we flashed back to see kind of how all that comes to be.
But that's the case. It's going to most likely end up with them having created the killer shark.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't think we can say that it's like some other weird monster from the sea that has come in.
It's a tiny orca that somehow didn't crest the water while killing this girl.
Or it's just a weird shark that is like framing their sharks for murder. Oh,
that'd be great. Maybe it's like shark politics.
Yeah.
Like one of the sharks is trying to become shark mayor, and the other one's trying to like, do you want to hire to vote in a human killer as a mayor, but like half the people, like 40% of the voting base is like, yeah, I'm anti-human too. This guy eats it like it is, and like we'll still vote for him anyways.
It's totally possible. I would love to see a shark with like a sash on that says mayor.
Yes, if you want to send us pictures of your idea of mayor shark,
yeah.
Please send them to the Twitter at predictocast. I want to see Mayor Shark in all his glory or her glory.
Yeah, give him a monocle and a top hat. Like make him a real like 40s mayor.
A chum in every glass.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we're setting things up that they obviously have done something to the sharks. They've messed with their DNA in some way. They've probably, maybe they're doing something very similar to what Dr. Miles Craven was doing in Shark Attack, where he's like injecting them with some stuff and like amping up their metabolism so they're growing faster and they're becoming like feeding machines.
Or here's what I would like to see happen. Because this is the end of the 12 minutes, 20 seconds, whatever. So
yeah.
Nothing's happened. We really don't know what's
Some
going
girls
to happen.
die and it's probably their response. I mean, their fault.
They had to figure out what's going on with sharks, how to stop them. But what if instead of injecting humans with shark DNA to save the humans from cancer, maybe there's some disease that sharks get that we're immune to.
Oh, okay.
And they're injecting human DNA into sharks. So it's a man shark.
We're immune to shark AIDS. So
I mean, some of us are.
But yeah, like I that would be interesting because I'm curious.
SIV? Shark. Deficiency.
Well, isn't that just SIDS?
Sharks are just dying
in the cradles.
Yes, and we don't die in shark cradles, so we are immune to shark SIDS.
Shark babies are just dying left and right, and humans are immune to that disease.
Because if you roll the shark on the back, it just goes docile and can't move,
and then
so
it stops swimming.
They have to belly sleep in their shark cribs, but that's also leading to SIDS, and they don't know how to solve it, so they have to give them human DNA so they can sleep. They become side sleepers.
Well, I'm just curious, like, what the implication is going to be of that weird shark human eye, because it is clearly a blue human eye that we are seeing at the beginning, and when we zoom out, it's in a shark's head. So, like, are they making like talking sharks? Are they making like Jabberjaw type sharks?
What if it's just human eyes, but like human eyes aren't that great, so it's a shark that's just kind of doesn't see that well in the water, and
they
so
just
it's like
keep running
everything.
into things.
That's why I attack these girls. Is like, I can't think. You know what? I'll just grab onto her and chop off her arm just to make sure. I can't. It would lead into my Magoo world that I like. So instead of Magoo world being on land, Magoo world is all sharks, nearsighted sharks.
How many bad CGI shark shots are we going to get in this? Because we already got that really good one at the beginning with the open mouth shark.
That's literally all we've gotten. So none of these shark attacks showed a shark, which led to your theory that it's not their shark.
That's what I'm wondering.
I wouldn't be able to tell like which shark is which anyways. So fuck off with that.
Or what if it's a shark that like is more human-like? So we have like a weird like shark minotaur kind of thing going on. A sharkatar.
What if instead of having human like physical attributes, it has human like mental attributes, but not the good ones? Like it has an anxiety disorder. Like it has like it feels like a fraud at all times.
Yes.
Like it's always where the other sharks are better at everything that it does. Like it is Shark Mayor, but it like thinks everyone's looking at it like
that's what it is.
It's got imposter syndrome. Like, they're gonna know I'm not good at being a mayor at 8 times. They're all gonna see through me.
That's why it's killing these people, because it's like, I'll show these other sharks that I am worth it.
Yeah, it's just trying to hit that social obligation it thinks it needs to be to fit in, but it just never fits in. Because it has human DNA that gives it depression and anxiety. It also just tends to binge watch things when it's upset.
Yeah, I think I already mentioned it, but I definitely predict that Nathan and Marla will get back together. They'll realize that they do still care for each other, because this traumatic experience will bring them back together, and they'll rekindle their romance.
I think so. And also, let's see. There's another character that was kind of like Marla's sidekick in there, who was kind of like her. Oh,
they're like stoner shaggy buddy.
Yeah, he's gonna die. He's gonna
for sure.
Shark.
He's gonna get killed.
He's like so absolutely gonna be eaten.
Oh,
like, I don't care if he gets near water. The shark will find a way to like eat him on land.
Oh yeah, he's done. And we forgot to mention that there's all these people listed in the cast that we didn't recognize, and then we get and Jeff Fahey. So I'm very excited for Jeff Fahey to show up.
He has not yet, and a lot of movie has passed, but a lot more could go. So
yeah, he's playing General Remora. So I'm assuming that there's some sort of military action getting involved, and maybe the military is going to have to fight whatever weird shark human hybrid we get.
Maybe he's like a half human, half eel.
Oh, what if the military has been messing with their shark research and is trying to create a shark soldier?
Ooh. What good would that do?
I mean, you could send the shark soldier into enemy territory without them knowing.
As long as it's water.
Yeah, but then they could like destroy submarines and stuff like that.
They can't bite through metal.
These could. These are super sharks with human eyes.
With human eyes. I mean, they also like they have like adamantium,
and they can use
teeth.
like guns. These sharks can use guns,
like with freaking lasers attached to their heads.
Yeah, exactly. The Dr. Evil sharks.
The Dr. Evil sharks.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be pretty good.
The military has just taking these sharks and made them dangerously patriotic. Like
yes,
they've just radicalized them.
They've all got American flag tattoos. And they're riding.
When they talk about the thin blue line, they're talking about like water.
Blue fins matter.
Oh fuck. They hate like other like oh, only great whites.
Make our oceans great white again.
Great white pride.
Oh god. They also put a lot of like weird shark skulls on their vehicles, and everybody's like, well, I think you're missing the point of that character. I mean, the shark punisher.
You know, people like are worried about them getting better at humor, but really they miss the point all the time. These far right arch patriotic sharks in the military is training.
Yeah. Support our shark troops, Skinner.
I just can't. I can't do it. I just
tie a yellow ribbon around the old buoy.
Okay, so we have to end our racist shark troops.
Yeah, I think this is the best place to wrap up this segment here. But because it's the Patreon exclusive ep, you've only got to wait a couple of seconds to hear our full thoughts on the rest of Blue Demon. Stick around, and we will be right back. Welcome back. We have now watched the rest of Blue Demon, and we are going to talk about it. And before we begin, I have a quick question. Is this movie supposed to be a comedy?
I was going to ask you, how much of a comedy did you think this movie was supposed to be? Because as far as I can tell, they are trying to be funny. And there are things in it that I think, if done a little better, would actually be funny.
Okay, all right. You're going bold with that proclamation. I feel
it's just one running thing they do that I find could be amusing if they had landed a little bit better. But like the fact they kind of go through the plot like it actually matters.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't fit with the pure parody that it is at other times. Like him talking about her ass in the last 3/4 of the movie.
Yeah. I mean, it. We can confirm that prediction. They get back together. So I nailed it. Yeah. Yeah,
you nailed it. God. He's going to nail it too. Nail that ass that he missed so much. But like, oh my God. Like, so the part that I think is funny, in theory, not like I didn't laugh, but they keep doing these very long setups for the sharks to attack civilians. Like painfully long. And then the sharks don't kill them.
Yeah. Most notably is the scene with the little girl and her dad fishing. And
that is totally set up. Like I was thinking, like, they won't kill the dad, will they? But they kind of have to. They don't.
But they don't. And then that sets up that weird side plot of that random fisherman character who's like hunting the sharks down at a certain point, and then he's just not a character anymore.
then there's the couple that are having this romantic
Oh
thing.
my god!
They tease that they're gonna go skinny dipping, and they don't. They had their first kiss. Like they literally do a whole thing where like they kiss in the water, and like, oh, it's my first kiss. It was my first kiss too. So you think like, okay, now they've had their first kiss. The shark's gonna eat them. It doesn't, and it's not like the shark doesn't eat people. It kills 2 of the 3 maintenance workers, or unless that was 2 divers and 1 maintenance worker who was taking them out diving. I couldn't quite tell on that.
Yeah, I think those are the 2 maintenance workers I think do die, and then the other woman who's there, she's off, she's not in the water, so she sees it all happen, and then she's not a character either. Like they set them up as if they're characters.
It's funny because she set up as a character, like she is set up like a character.
Yeah.
Like they talk about her out drinking people. These 2 people, she has a full scene. She's kind of focused on. She's starring Christine Lakin, who is she was one of the kids on Step by Step.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Tomboy Al. She's been in a ton of things. She's a regular recurring cast voice on Family Guy. But she's not a character. She's not a character. This is just one scene.
Yeah, it's weird. Like they have these little like almost these side characters that are set up for their own adventures, and then they're just removed. Like the fisherman thing, that was the biggest like shock to me when it happened, because like you have the scene set up with the little girl, her dad, she's fishing, she's like, oh, I don't want to kill the worms or whatever, and the dad's like trying to teach her how to fish, and they catch a fish, and you're like, oh, they probably caught the shark. Okay, so now the shark's gonna come up and grab them, and like, no, it's actually a fish, and they're like, oh, it's just fun. And then the shark like leaps out of the water and falls on the deck, which is terrible looking, and then you're like, oh, okay, it's gonna grab one of them. The dad falls in, you're like, oh, the dad's gonna die. This other guy runs over and like helps them, and then like they all get out and it's fine. And then the next scene where that couple is, that same fisherman guy shows up again, and he's like, I'm gonna kill this shark, and you're like, oh, is this like a character now? And it's like, no, he's not a character. There's
so much in this movie that I wrote down. This is padding to extend the runtime of this movie. Jeff Fahey as General Remora talks incredibly slow.
Oh yeah, there's
almost
definitely,
certainly just to make it go longer.
Yeah, there's definitely a joke there. It's for sure like his delivery is a joke, and the fact that every time he walks over to the military guys that accompany him who are standing by the door, they salute him. Like every time he gets close to them, they throw a salute up. Like, I mean, obviously there are jokes here, because we mentioned it in part 1, right? That the guy who directed this was like a National Lampoon guy or something.
But it's not consistently funny. Like, here's the one thing that was funny to me in the whole movie that I actually kind of like had a reaction to.
Okay.
Was when near the end, they finally have the shark basically. Because by the way, the sharks are all named after Marx Brothers. They're called the Sharks Brothers.
Oh my god, yeah.
Except for the main shark, which is called Red Dog.
Yeah.
Why is it called Red Dog? Who cares? But the shark finally attacks a beach. This is a fucking shark movie. The shark finally attacks a beach, and it eats one of the surfers. And we zoom right in on Nathan, one of our protagonists' face, and he just goes, Jesus Christ! And it's so out of nowhere, and it's my favorite thing in the whole movie.
Jesus Christ!
If they had more of that, and I don't even know what that is, it would be so much funnier.
That I wrote that down too. That scene was so good when the shark kills the girl, and there's a cut and then a very long pause before he says that. Like they didn't edit it right, so it doesn't go from girl being grabbed to immediately Jesus Christ. It's like girl's grabbed, Jesus Christ.
It's so funny. I don't even know they meant to make it that funny. And then, oh god, his dream sequence after he gets knocked out and he dreams he's in the hospital with no legs. And,
oh yeah,
Marla's kind of this slow speaking angel. She goes, "Hi, how do you feel?" I'm like, what is exactly the joke here?
Okay,
but
so let's
Jesus Christ, I can give it. Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
Let's go through sort of the plot points, because I don't expect anyone will watch this, nor should they.
It's so fucking boring. I can't even tell you. Like,
it's pretty dull.
Sharks Brothers, though, guys.
The Sharks Brothers. Yeah, I groaned out loud at that one.
They almost all just die 2/3 through the movie.
Very quickly, yeah, for sure. So they kind of basically, we'll go through this project. This project is Blue Demon. That's the name of the
That's the name of their defense project.
Yeah.
Is Blue Demon.
Let's not make it something. But once we realize what's going on, like, it makes sense that they would name it that. But, like, not Blue Thunder or Blue Hurricane or something that's like Blue Demon. This project that's going to help the United States is called Blue Demon.
They're super sharks. They can be in both fresh and salt water.
Okay, yeah, they dealt with that.
Not taking advantage
issue
of in this movie at all.
No, because they're mostly in freshwater for the most part, right?
I think they're near the ocean, aren't they?
Well, they're near the ocean during one scene, but earlier when they're going after the couple and the people fishing, that's definitely freshwater.
That's true. I mean, they could have had them in more rivers or toilets, but they're literally, like, most of the time just in the ocean like a normal shark.
Yeah.
And they have human eyes or some weird eyes. They keep mentioning their eyes, but it's of no point.
Consequence. Exactly. There's no reason that they have to have human eyes. A shark's black eyes are much crazier. I mean, think back to that Jaws monologue that Quint gives, where he talks about the eyes black like a doll's eyes, and they're like emotionless and uncaring. Human eyes are not the same way. So a shark having human eyes doesn't mean anything. It just might mean that their eyesight is worse than what it is as a shark. I don't know. Like,
it's all for that one scene where they zoom in on the shark's eye and zoom out, but, like, it's the sharks have computer chips in their brains.
And no lasers, though, sadly.
No laser. They are soldiers. We don't know if they are.
We got that right. That was the thing. That was the joke that we made at the end of the episode. That was I loved that bit of riffing that we did there. If I can just pull back the curtain and talk about ourselves a little bit, but, like, we made that because we thought there's no way. But yeah, these sharks are being used for, like, the ultimate, like, end game is that the guy who is responsible for this, General Mora, turns out to be a bad guy. Surprise. And he is kind of willing to, he doesn't like the way that the world has changed because he thinks people have gotten, basically it's the complaint of people are soft and they're not as concerned about this kind of stuff anymore. And, like, torture used to be okay, but now it isn't. And, like, it's all very sort of right-wingy a little bit.
It is. I mean, like, he talks about he's sick of money going towards social services rather than military spending. Everyone's soft, PC culture, blah, blah, blah. It's the talking points you hear from the far right.
And your crazy uncle on Facebook.
And your crazy uncle. I'm not going to call them conservatives because that word doesn't mean anything anymore to me. Like, if you're willing to kill for things because you're afraid of your money going towards someone who's not you, and instead going towards military or some nonsense, fuck you. But most of them don't. Their end game isn't a shark grabs a bomb with their mouth and flies and swims into someplace.
I don't want the poors to be able to afford their medicine, but I'm fine throwing all my money at this military program that's going to make sharks be able to deliver bombs.
It's never explained if, like, he's the only one behind this or, like, the whole Defense Department and stuff know about it. He's just kind of at the last second overhauling it.
Yeah, it's unclear. Like, I mean,
it's not important. Is the main thing, but, like,
no.
The plot. Here's the thing that I thought was funny, just in the context of our show having themes. They have to do a presentation for General Mora when he's going to be introduced. But the Blue Demon project is having some trouble. They can control the sharks to a degree, but they can't control them perfectly.
Yeah, and Red Dog is basically uncontrollable.
And Red Dog, he's the alpha because sharks have alphas now. But of the Sharks brothers, who are all thematically named except for Red Dog.
Yeah,
and they're pitching it to their boss Lawrence, Danny Woodburn, and he's like, I need better results. Like the fact that you've made Super Sharks isn't enough. With quarterly earnings, the fast pace of the economy, nothing's good enough anymore, right? You make a Super Shark, but it's not the perfect Super Shark. So what good is it? He's like, what have you done for me lately? He literally says that. So they have 90 days before they will have to present this to the general. And I thought, oh, great, a deadline. Our other movie on the Patreon also had deadlines for penguins in that case, and 10 eggs. Also involved killing by the sea. I thought, okay, so this movie's going to be them trying to figure this out within 90 days. And then we see Lawrence playing a Shark Pac-Man video.
Yeah.
He pulls a secret he pulls out a drawer. In the drawer is a box. In that box, it's a phone. And that phone is how he calls General Remora. I don't understand why that was necessary. It's not even that funny. But it's like a phone inside a cigar box inside a drawer. Just whatever. Great joke. Also, he's a little person that's still funny when he goes to a...
I will say that they didn't lean on that as much as I expected them to, except for in that scene where he pulls the mystery phone out because he gets a call on it that basically tells him, now you have 6 weeks to get this ready, not 90 days. Right. He walks over to get a drink, and on the wall is a portrait of Napoleon.
Yes, and there's a scene later where he's at a podium giving a speech for Remora, and they shoot it to make sure he can barely reach the microphone.
Yeah, it's not as bad as I was fearing, but it's still that's part of the joke. Yeah,
that's kind of the end of it at that point. But I thought, here's the still, and then they make 6 weeks. I'm like, okay, that's the plot for a while. No, immediately it's time for the presentation.
Yeah, immediately it's 6 weeks later.
There's a whole thing with like. An engagement, the engagement ring wedding ring she's supposed to give back to Marlo's supposed to give back to Nathan. She can't get it off her finger, which I watched that and have like a visceral reaction to the of metal not being over your knuckle.
I was afraid she was gonna like deglove her finger or something.
I was just like, I can just feel it. Like sometimes I wake up and like I just terrified. My hand is expanded 4 times overnight, and my wedding ring is now killing me.
Okay, so we have to set this bullshit up because this is fucking ridiculous, and it's such a lazy way to set up this scene. But we know that they're going to get divorced because we already talked about it. They're like, oh, this is why I loved you. This is my ex-husband, etc., etc. He gets served with divorce papers at work, which is always a bad idea. Like, send no shit to his house, please. Like, don't do that while he's working. You work together. That's bad. He said he wants the rings back because the ring was like a family heirloom, and his mother gave it to him, and he wants it back because he may give it to someone else, etc., etc., etc. So she can't get it off her finger. And the only thing that seems to register for her that makes the most logical sense is, oh, well, I need to use some soap to get this ring off. That makes sense. I'll soap up my hand. It'll come off. Everything will be fine. Where does she go to do this? The only place that you could go to find soap to get it off your finger is next to the shark cage. So she drives out to the dock, goes out, tells the sharks not to ever get married and just take what they want, which is a really bad message to put out into the world. Don't take no for an answer, just take what you want. And she grabs a bar of soap that is at the dock for some reason and starts soaping up her hand to try to get the ring off. She does get the ring off. It rolls, almost falls into the water, which is what I was expecting, but it stops on the dock. She goes to get it, slips on the soap, and goes into the water.
Like
it's so convoluted.
Like a cartoon slipping into the water.
Yeah.
Which is just... It's not ridiculous enough to be funny, though. That's the thing. Like
it is. I just rolled my eyes. I was like, good God, really? Like, we had to... What a painfully contrived setup to get you there.
Really great parody movies like Naked Gun and Hot Shots Part 2. specifically on part 2.
Yeah.
The idea of it is that you throw enough shit at the wall that something was going to stick, but you keep throwing the shit, right? Like the funniest scene in Hot Shots is when the captain's hat blows off. He asks, them to turn the boat around. It's a classic scene. Everyone knows it. But this movie decides it's going to do a setup and just takes forever to do it. Like it is ridiculous. And if done like kind of rapid fire, maybe it'd be funnier. But like the setup is always strained, and then it takes forever, and then it happens, and then like I don't know if it's a joke or not, but if you see the sharks underwater, and they're fucking horrible, which is kind of funny. they're moving very fast. They're super sharks, but if you see their fins above water, they're going incredibly slow.
Yeah.
So like if they do a scene where she's in the water now, and the sharks are coming after her, the shark fin, because they don't want to frame the shot very difficultly, is only like 3 feet away from her. Yet they'll cut down below water and the shark's swimming like fucking crazy. And they move back up there and it's moving an inch an hour. And it's like, is this supposed to be funny, or you guys just don't know what you're doing?
It's just like, is it a joke or is it bad filmmaking? Like, I think this movie it's in that weird, like, it's riding that line between not being able to tell if it's one or the other.
And I think it kind of goes back and forth. And like, if you want, if you're a huge fan of this movie and like going to come at me with, oh, you just didn't get it. No, I get what it was. I get that it's a comedy, and I get it's supposed to be a parody, but it's just so slow. And like I said, I could see certain things like the huge setups for these characters dying and not dying as being funny, but like it just takes up too much of my life. By the time it gets there, I don't even care anymore. Like right here, we have Avery coming down, their assistant Avery, Josh Hammond.
Avery, the guy who looks like either a member of Power Man 5000 or Static X.
Yes, he would listen to the Butterflies Kisses podcast and be disappointed it's not actually about Crazy Town being a great band, but he comes at this and he picks up a gun to shoot the sharks. And I get like he's actually a bad guy. Spoiler: he's in with the general.
Yeah.
So, but like,
we were wrong on that. We expected him to get eaten in a horrible way, but he does not.
As a bad guy, he still should have got eaten. Honestly,
yeah, he should have.
But like he starts shooting at the shark to save her, and he shoots about 900 times,
and sucks.
And it doesn't hit it. And like you can say, like plot wise, well, he's trying not to hit it because he doesn't want the sharks to die because he wants the sharks to, go on a rampage
so he can get paid.
Like,
yeah,
it'd be funny. Like it's funny because he takes so many shots. We're gonna be like Mike Myers and say like go past it being bad to being funny again. The thing is, it doesn't get there. It's just you're watching this guy miss shooting at a fake shark for like a minute and a half, and you're like, okay, I get it. Like, get on with it.
Yeah, if their goal was to make a intentionally bad shark movie, then I think they succeeded. But I don't think that was their goal. I think their goal was to make a funny semi-parody of a shark movie, but I don't think it like totally works. Like, I think there are parts of this that are funny, but not because they are trying to make them funny.
No, I said like Jesus Christ is funny.
Yeah.
But
maybe that was intentional. I don't know.
Like Nathan has no range the entire movie. So when he finally does that, it's like when Marlo will suddenly say fuck out of nowhere. It's like, oh yeah, this movie isn't a TV movie.
Yeah.
So like
but that doesn't stop Casper Van Dien.
It does. That one scene. Let's get the fuck out of here. Like a joke that would be funny if like if I really trusted this team to be like taking me on this journey of absurd humor. So they're going to meet General Remora. They're having a presentation in a secret bunker, and it takes for fucking ever, right? Remora slowly comes in the room smoking. I was wondering if they hear the music that he hears, because it seems like the music that's playing in the soundtrack is they just must
being
hear
piped into the room.
Yeah, but like takes for long. And then he does a speech and he's talking so slow to pad the time, which I think is funny. But then he says like, I have you all on level 5 security clearance. It's level 5. That's why it's so secret. That's why we have to have this meeting underwater, which is stupid. Is a dumb thing to say, right? But there's no like, it doesn't become more secret by putting the secret room underwater.
That's a joke that would be on Get Smart like 50 years ago.
But Get Smart would do it faster.
Yes,
and like
exactly.
There'd be a joke on either side of it, and it's a better. Okay, it's hard. It's a real stretch to say like Get Smart, the TV show, better than this movie.
I mean, it's true.
But it's true. But like, I think at times that's what this movie's going for is like this government thing that is taking itself seriously, but the characters are all kind of hapless.
Yeah,
and aren't in on it. And there's some characters aren't hapless, but some are. But no one will escape the reality of it.
Yeah,
but
maybe it's like trying to be a joke on like. Maybe there's like some sort of bureaucratic joke in there somewhere.
I don't know. Like we have this meeting and like he's doing this speech about Russia in 1997 losing a portable nuclear bomb. And he goes, I like to see everyone put their hands on their laps. And I wasn't sure exactly what that joke was.
Yeah, we think this bomb might be in the room right now. We're going to search your bags. And
then like, we see Lawrence behind the podium. He's small, but like during it, Marla is trying to tell Nathan something, and then they have an argument. Then she's like, forget about it because they get caught talking. And then he's upset because you don't tell somebody something to tell you, and then say I'm going to tell you later because that's all they can think about now. Except for they're adults. Like again, it's funny. Like they're adults having this schoolroom conversation at a very important thing, but they were very stressed about this presentation up until this moment. And now they're in there and they don't give a fuck. And it's like, okay, so why did you have them care before if you're going to like have them not care now? Like, so you can have this joke. Like they have to always be the same characters for the joke to either work or not work. You know what I mean? Like you can't change their tone based on what you want to be funny at that moment. Otherwise it's like, oh, it's they could be anyone. What does it matter?
So they realize as they're doing this presentation, they go and they open the curtain and the sharks are all gone. And they realize, oh, they must have gotten out somehow. Someone has opened the gate and they can't get to the signal to connect to the sharks to get them to return. They're too far away. So the sharks kill the maintenance team. So that's a big deal. Nathan wants to call the Coast Guard and like alert them to say, hey, these sharks are out there. We need to get people out of the water. But General Mora doesn't want that to happen. He basically says, sharks kill people. It happens. We can't do anything about it. There's a scene. There's like a moment here in this scene where he's telling them that, where he's in their like sitcom-y office and he hits a button on a machine that seems to initiate a destruct sequence, which I think is kind of funny. But then he just turns it off again.
It's funny that he just turns it off again. It's funny because this nothing, like none of it looks so serious that we should have a self-destruct button.
No.
But speaking of serious, during the conversation that the fight that Marla and Nathan are having during the presentation, kind of this whisper fight about where she's clearly going to trying to tell him that she did not file the divorce papers and she still loves him, it makes no sense why she would bring this up right now because they haven't actually reconnected at this point. But they start arguing about each other and he goes, this is why we had to break up, is because you're all facts and boring and science. And like, no, like she, like her introduction to her character was her in her room playing like ring toss on a lava lamp with inner tubes,
which is important
for later. Yes. That was the setup, but like, she's not portrayed as being this all facts, no fun, like business science girl. Like she's the same character as he is.
Yeah, they're exactly the same type of person. Like they're written
interchangeably.
Yeah, it's weird. So Nathan gets arrested because he tries to call the Coast Guard, but they arrest him. They say that his code was used to open the gate and release the sharks. So he gets put away for a little while, not very long.
Is this where they actually like? There's a point really early on during their. Like, I think it's like around when she frees him later, where she's like, "Who would have access to all our stuff and your codes?" They're like, "Oh, it'd be Avery," which is what it is.
And she's like, no, he's an idiot. He couldn't do it.
Right. Like they solve the movie immediately.
Yeah.
And then go like, nah.
Well, it's like that Sherlock Holmes thing was like the most logical like outcome. I'm butchering this, but it's like the most logical solution, however bizarre, is probably the right one. And like they nail it, but they're like, no, that's too stupid.
There's literally 5 characters in the movie if you include the fisherman. So, like, it had to be, like, they know this, so it had to be him.
Like, they think at first that it's Lawrence who did it, right?
I think so, but, like, Lawrence, he's a preventative measure for the plot moving forward at times, but, like, he really doesn't have he doesn't care
also,
in the right way.
I will just say that, like, he's easily my favorite part of the movie. Like, Danny Woodburn is a good actor, and he's an engaging presence, and he's always interesting in whatever he's in. Like, he's just got he's a very magnetic performer. I like him. I mean, he's good in Seinfeld. He's good in this, playing the character that he has to play. I hate that there are some of those jokes at his height, obviously, but like anytime he's on screen, I kind of am okay with it.
He has an energy and he has a star quality.
Yes,
because he knows how to be a performer. Like, not saying D.D. Pfeiffer and Randall Bankenoff, big stars that they are as the leads in this movie, aren't as good at projecting star quality. But he's clearly a professional. Jeff Fahey's doing
I will say
he's doing well with what he's supposed to be doing, but his character is so padding.
Yeah, his character kind of sucks, but like I will say that like the movie, the one thing that it does really well is those 2 supporting roles are very well cast. So they work.
They're cast by bigger actors
than
the main 2 characters. Like, I know she's Michelle Pfeiffer's sister. I get it. Like, she's nothing. Like, it could be like she comes off as like, I couldn't hire Marg Helgenberger for this role.
I could see that.
And Randall could be
actually, you know what? That kind of works pretty well with what we were talking about in the first part with those girls who, like, they're so far away from what we're at in the movie now. But the girl who gets her arm bitten off and the girls who died, the sorority girls, like one of them looked like Jessica Biel a little bit. One of them looked like Hayden Panettiere a little bit. This is sort of a Michelle Pfeiffer, Marg Helgenberger offshoot, kind of.
And like Nathan Randall could have Batinkoff could be like Ty Burrell if you had a bigger.
Yeah, kind of. I could
especially
see that.
Like a 2004 Ty Burrell, like who's a little less drawn. Like he's wry, but he's serious.
Yeah, I could see that.
And he's brown hair and just has a long face. Like that's he's that type, but you don't have that person who knows how to command the screen. Or in this case, really given a chance. If he had been allowed to be the guy who yells Jesus Christ at the end the entire movie, I mean, what a fucking movie that would be.
Yeah, just like freaking out constantly.
Jesus Christ! It's like no one like for the stakes the movie puts out there, right? No one really ever gets that freaked out until that swimmer is killed.
Yeah, it's not like a big. Nothing is ever like as heightened as it should be. At
the shark with a nuclear bomb. the blow off of the nuclear bomb though is kind of beautiful. Where they have like a newscaster telling us why, like, even though a nuclear bomb went off on the coast of America, it didn't hurt anyone or anything.
Yeah, we'll talk about that for sure when we get there. But there's a scene here. There's like one little insert shot of a shark. So they're not all the same CGI shots. I will give them credit for that. There are a lot of repeats, but they do throw in a couple of original ones here or there. And there's one here that has a shark swimming by with a sign in its mouth that says, do not back up, severe tire damage, which is just like a weird little like joke scene that they just threw in because it has no bearing on the plot. Like we don't see the shark attacking a sign or like where would he even get that sign?
The shark went on land
Yeah.
to a parking area for like a parking garage that is secure and tore off the sign. They went back in the water.
Yeah, it's very stupid, but like
they have like the CGI kit come with that sign and they're like, gotta use it.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Is it like they figured out how to render? It was like one of those things where like we can put a piece of metal in the shark's mouth, and then in the settings for that metal piece, you can go in and add like an image that will wrap to it. What image do we want to put in there? Well, we put this do not back up severe tire damage thing.
Like, did they think sitting there like, what's the last thing he'd be able to get a handle on? Like, he couldn't have pulled it off the boat. The boat wouldn't have that on it. Like,
No,
it's literally a very landlocked sign. I thought the joke was going to be at the end when the shark's swimming towards the building with the bomb in its mouth, which is, hilarious. It's basically like a amorphous metal blob in its mouth. I thought when it got closer, we'd find out, oh, it doesn't have a bomb. It has a severe tire damage sign instead. And Remora would be like, oh, damn it. It doesn't have anything. They would break through the screen and eat him or something.
Yeah.
But no, it actually has the bomb and it actually does go off.
Yeah. So Marla goes in and she sneaks in to help get Nathan out. She says she's bringing lunch, but she actually has a tranq gun. She shoots the guard in the dick, which takes him down immediately.
Here's like the funny, bizarre part that almost works for me here. So she breaks them out, right? Knocked out the guard. They start sneaking out, and then they realize no one else in the facility knows who they are anyways.
Yeah.
Like, if they saw everyone would be like, I don't know that these two are wanted criminals. We're supposed to be under lock and key. So they just brazenly just walk out in front of everybody. Like, they stop sneaking after like 20 seconds.
Yeah. They run it. They almost run into a guard. And I thought, oh, they're going to go the other way or they're going to tranq him or something. And it's like, no, they just walk right past him without any concern whatsoever.
I mean, like, it's funny because, like, that could be true. Like, not everyone in this facility would know, like, but it was, instead of this whole scene, like, they're going to sneak out of the building, and then it's like, you know what? No, we're not going to do that. It's like, okay. Because then they almost immediately after Lawrence walks into the ladies' room looking, because Marla has told Avery she's going to the bathroom. That's where she snuck out to free him. And he's like, well, I'm just going to go in the bathroom to make sure she's there because she's been gone for a long time. And they go from that, and then we go to the couple.
Oh, we actually have to talk about the scene where Lawrence finds the guard who's been tranquilized and kind of goes back and forth about whether or not he should pull that dart out.
Like, what did you think is going to happen? Like, if he touches the dart that's in his dick, he'll be a homosexual.
I mean, probably.
Like, it will shoot out semen at his face. Like, what does he think is going to happen? I don't
that would be horrifying.
I mean, it's not fun pulling metal pieces out of anything, but like, it's not quite a gay panic joke, but like,
there's a little bit of that there for sure. He like goes back and forth, like, should I pull this out? I don't know. I don't want to touch this guy's dick area. I don't know. So it is kind of it's a little gay panicky, a little bit.
A little. I mean, 2004 could have been a little worse.
Oh, that's very true. We'll give this movie credit in small doses. Like, the little people jokes don't go as far as we thought. The gay panic jokes don't go as far as they could. Like,
oh my god. But yeah, this whole scene of this couple's under a tree. They're under a tree.
Oh my god, this whole scene.
They're like
Mercedes and LC.
She's like, let's go skinny dipping. He's like, oh, you sure nobody's around. And she pulls up her dress and she actually has a swimsuit underneath it. And he's like, oh, you were joking. And they go out in the water and we see the sharks going very fast underwater and very slow above. And they kiss. And she's like, I'm going to go to the moon. It's my first kiss.
Oh.
And then they don't get killed. And then there's a slow motion harpoon.
Yeah.
And the fisherman's out too.
Yeah.
And it's like, like, I'm not joking. This is like 3 to 5 minutes. Like, and it felt like 10. And like, these characters aren't in the movie. Like, the other characters don't see it happening. It is of no importance to the movie.
Yeah, we just hear about it later. We hear that, oh yeah, a rogue fisherman killed one of our sharks.
It's so weird. And then like the sharks go to the beach.
Yeah,
which is the best part.
But if Nathan does, once they've escaped, Nathan does try to call the Coast Guard, but they just don't believe them. So
well, he tells it like it is, which is ridiculous. So they like, whatever, like super sharks made by the government. Okay, whatever, hang up on them. So he's got to like try to get everyone off the beach himself, and no one's really paying attention to him until the person gets eaten.
Well, they go to the beach because Marla has found a disc with the original prototype of the Blue Demon control program, and she's going to use her cell phone and her laptop to try to gain access and control the sharks in 2004.
The graphic user interface for the shark software is incredibly stupid. And like it could just be text, but it isn't. And she presses a button. She says, "Okay, fuck it." It hits the button, and all but Red Dog have their brains blown up.
Yeah, Red Dog is not with these sharks at the time. Like, they find out later that the system was manipulated by Avery to make it look like Red Dog was with them and hunting with them, but in fact, it was going somewhere else. So they didn't realize that it was off on its own. They thought, oh, we've got them all. And before we get to the beach, though, Marla and Nathan have a nice long talk in the car and it's very clear that they still have feelings for each other. And
he's like, "Oh, you're the smartest woman I ever know. It's what made you fall in love with me. Made me fall in love with you." And she's like, "I thought it was my ass." And he's like, "It was a little bit of your ass."
Yeah.
And then thus that will keep coming back for the rest of the movie.
Yeah. And yeah, she does. She overloads the signal. We get the amazing Jesus Christ moment.
Jesus Christ!
The sharks basically blow up. We find out that like they all die essentially.
And then Nathan wakes up in the hospital.
Yeah, with the great angel scene.
The great angel scene with Marla as an angel who's talking very slowly, and then he pulls off his blankets and his legs are gone. And then he wakes up and he's in the regular hospital, kind of. Like everything seems to take place at the same facility. Like the military base, the prison room he's in, the school, whatever they're in, like it's all one. If they go to a building, it's the same building.
Oh yeah, this movie didn't have it's not like this is not a heavy location.
They're either outside or in this one building. We see that Avery has a mobile lab. It's a lab inside of a bus or something.
Yes, so
it's also decorated like the other lab.
It looks exactly the same, but they confront Avery because now they know that he is responsible. So it's like they discounted it immediately before, but now they're like, oh, it has to be him. So that's when they go in and they are like, we know you were responsible for throwing us off the target, for faking it so it looked like Nathan's code was the one that let the sharks out, and disguising where Red Dog was going. And then that's when General Mora comes in with a gun and he kind of lays out his whole thing about, people are too soft and everybody's pansies now and the government's weak, which is why I think he's acting alone, because like at least on this part, like maybe the government knows that, everything's going on with the sharks, but they think that it's for, helping stop water-based threats, I guess. But he calls himself a patriot, which in 2004, that's when this movie came out, 2004. Yep. That's a pretty like heavy thing, because that's not that long after 9/11, which we're on the anniversary, kind of close to the anniversary of, and like that word patriot was being thrown around a lot at the time, and he's mad that they're diverting funds to social programs like schools and the homeless.
It's played like, okay, that's obviously the plan of a bad guy.
Yeah.
But that is exactly what 30% of the country apparently believes very, very deeply in. And good for them. Good for them.
They want sharks to take bombs and try to blow up landmarks.
You know, hey, if it happens in cities that are in the bubble, these liberal cities, you know, what would it matter anyways, honestly?
Yeah, who cares?
Their votes don't matter as much. They don't understand real America anyways. That's what these sharks think.
Yeah.
These far-right sharks. They're just got shark pride.
So Marla does her great ring toss by throwing a life preserver onto General Remora, which completely incapacitates him for some reason.
He's out of the movie. That like he's completely incapacitated. Lawrence is a good guy now.
Yeah.
And he steals Remora's cigar and puts in starts smoking and goes, cheap. Just like I suspected. I'm like, wait, what? But yeah, he's at it, like he's basically like he's back for the very ending, but like he's out of it. Like they put a hula hoop over him and he's done.
Yeah. So they find Avery's truck. They have a bunch of equipment inside. It's tracking Red Dog, and we find out here what the ultimate plan is that Red Dog has a payload of plutonium in his mouth, and he is going to blow up the Golden Gate Bridge.
Jesus Christ. At some point in here, Avery hits Nathan with a fucking shovel to the head.
Yes.
Which really should kill him.
All movies are guilty of this, of characters getting bonked on the head and just getting knocked out for a little while and not immediately dying.
They'd either die or get up. Like, the Batman idea of like you punch someone and they're knocked out for as long as you need them to not be
until they're tied up.
Like watch MMA. Someone gets knocked out, like they get hit really hard, but they're also up within a minute.
Yeah, that's a sort of across the board movie sin.
Life preserver covering your arms, you're out of the movie. You're defeated.
Yeah.
Hitting him with the shovel, he's not dead and he's not out of the movie by any stretch. But they do get control. How did they get control back of a Red Dog somehow, right?
Yeah,
I kind of zoned out at this point.
They have like a little car chase kind of here. It's not very good.
Marla, it's got rockin' music though.
Yeah, Marla keeps getting thrown around in the back of the truck. She's trapped in there. And Nathan's chasing as Avery's driving the truck. Nathan's in his car. He ends up sending the truck off-road. Avery gets knocked out, basically. And that's pretty much how he's out of the movie completely.
How is he not eaten?
I don't know. He just gets knocked out in the truck, and then that's it. They never go back to him, I don't think, at all.
I don't think so either.
So she's able to get control of Red Dog. She aborts the mission, but because there is no set programming for the shark, it defaults to its original setting, which sends the shark back to the facility, which is very handy and for the movie story.
So we go in and Remora's back in the room with the kind of like glass wall.
Yeah, the viewing
place, which all shark movies apparently have.
Yeah, Sharkman had this too.
It did, and we see the CGI shark with a bomb in its mouth come swimming at him. And then he slowly puts his salute up.
Well, we have to say that Lawrence, who's sitting there with a gun on him, and he's like, "Yeah, you're done, General." And General's like, "No, I'm gonna, get out of this just fine." And they see the shark coming, and Lawrence does a little like roll, like a little action roll out of the room, and is able to slam the door.
That wouldn't stop the nuclear bomb from killing him.
Yeah, and the general stands up, he salutes, and then the shark basically flies into the room and explodes.
Yes,
but yeah, you're right. That broadcast is also very convenient for the film.
It's funny, but it's not quite funny enough. But like, it basically explains nuclear bomb went off against the coast. Luckily, it was in an abandoned facility. Luckily, there was nobody near around. Luckily, blah, blah, blah. Like, if a nuclear bomb went off anywhere near the population, there's so much problem with fallout. Like, if they hadn't made this a nuclear bomb, it would be fine. But it's a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, and like it blows up in the water. So basically all life in that vicinity in the water probably died.
And it killed one room of the building. If you close the door, the explosion wouldn't go through it. The nuclear bomb. I'm like, what? Like, whatever. So we have Marla and Nathan going to court.
Yeah, they're going to a hearing, which is what I suspected in part one, which is the little voiceover that we get at the beginning of the movie where she's talking about having they created a monster and all this stuff. And that's them sort of reflecting back. Before they go in, though, she finally tells him that thing. She didn't file the divorce papers. Nathan still has the ring that he got from the dock when she collapsed and fell in the water. He puts it back on her. They kiss. And
they kiss.
Yeah, they kiss very long and inappropriately on the street. Like, this is an inappropriate kiss.
They kiss. Like, they gigantically kiss. He then says, God, I missed that ass. And then they go back in and they're just, there's motion. There's
tons of flapping.
There's like, it's up and down. It's back and forth and it goes on. I'm like, oh man, this movie's still not funny enough for this to work.
Yeah. And then they go into the hearing and we hear her voiceover and she gives it while standing in front of an American flag, which I guess is also supposed to be kind of funny.
And then they zoom in on her eye to end.
And we see that goofy shark again.
Welcome to the world of Blue Demon. I hope you enjoyed your time here.
But like it's done. Like, it's not that like one of the sharks survived, or like that would be something if somehow they had been able to keep one of the sharks alive and it was off doing its own thing, but it was super intelligent. Like,
but they don't show like another room where they're growing other sharks for like the next generation.
Yeah,
it's just these sharks. There's never going to be a Blue Demon 2.
No,
just never. Like, there never was going to be, and there never will be.
No, God willing.
Unless this episode on our paid tier is so popular,
they revitalized Blue Demon as an 8-episode Amazon series.
We couldn't even blow up on our regular feed to the Diana clone. I don't think we're going to blow up Blue Demon for our restricted feed, but I don't know. Like, this one, I didn't hate it, but
it's just kind of there.
It's too long, way too long. It's just kind of there. It needs to be faster. It needs to be snapper. It doesn't need to be a Sharknado kind of parody, because I don't want that. We've talked about that, but it at least needs to be like a Get Smart thing, where like there's certain characters who are in on the joke, certain ones who aren't, straight characters versus, goofy characters. Everyone's kind of whatever the scene requires them to be. And it doesn't want to show its hand the whole way. Like, it only has like 2 pairs, but doesn't want to put it down in case you have 3 of a kind.
Oh, okay. I like that.
I thought I'd go with the poker, because poker's so hot right now.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I'd have a hard time. Like, I didn't hate it, but I also like can't really find any reason to recommend it. There's like not one scene that kind of like,
there's one line reading,
which is great, but like I can't find any other reason to kind of like recommend a reason to watch this.
The second that Jesus Christ happened, and then the angel hallucination thing happened, it opened this whole idea up to me of like, this whole movie could be this ridiculous.
Yes.
And they didn't do it.
Yeah, they kept it to just that moment. And I guess I get it, but it's that weird riding the line of not ever going fully into like comedy stuff, but also never,
it's never serious,
straight into like shark movie territory either.
like you never cared. Like if you don't care about the characters because it is a parody, right?
Yeah.
Why do so few people die?
Yeah, like who gives a shit? Like kill
Like who
them.
gives like I get the joke. Like I said, I get there was a joke that they kept setting up people who in these movies would die, but they don't.
Yeah.
But the movie is so slow paced about it that you almost if you by the time the next one happens, you forgot the one before it happened. So like if you weren't sitting down making notes for say a podcast, like you would forget like, oh, right, they set up like the daughter and dad to die and then he didn't. And the shark got on the fisherman's boat but didn't kill anybody. Now the shark set up to kill these two people who had their first kiss after 20 minutes of screen time and they didn't die. Oh, it's a joke. But by the time you get to the end of the scene, you have forgotten that other scene has happened.
See, contrast this with what we watched earlier in the month, Sharkman, which is also very goofy and has a ridiculous premise and is like way over the top, but they still treat it seriously enough, despite how goofy and dumb it all is.
None of the characters in the movie know they're in a parody.
Yeah, so like people still die and it's silly and dumb. Like I would absolutely recommend seeing Sharkman because it's so fucking silly and the performances are goofy and that guy driving a Jeep into a tree is amazing. Like that, the Jesus Christ line is kind of up there with that, but like there's nothing else in the movie that rises to that like silly height.
Here, it's another thing. Like this is a movie where sharks can go in any water, right? And it's a parody of a shark movie, and they have CGI sharks. The main characters of Marla and Nathan, besides that one time she slips into the water really early on, are never on water again.
Yeah, they never, except for the beach, but
yeah, even then, like she's in a car on the beach.
That's true.
Like they're never like. What if Jaws followed three characters who didn't go out in a boat? You know what I mean?
They were just waiting back at the mainland for the other characters in the boat to come back and tell them what happened.
They're the entire time they're sitting there tracking the shark by computers on the coast, hoping the sharks will get near enough to the coast for them to do something while they don't go in the water. Which is safer for them, but like the main characters are really never at threat from the sharks.
Yeah, like you could take this entire movie and move it off to a like water-based research facility where it's like on an old oil rig in the middle of the ocean, and they have these shark kind of like Deep Blue Sea a little bit. But it's like there, and then they have to like they're always near the water, so there's always a danger. Yeah,
just like have more water, I guess. Like make it a wetter movie, or. Like you could take the sharks of this movie and make them like drone submarines, and it's the same shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't need to be sharks somehow.
Yeah, or make these sharks able to walk on land. One or the other.
I mean, Red Dog did get that sign from a parking garage. So
That's true. He did take a break to stop by his local parking garage and steal that sign. Yeah, I think we can probably wrap this one up. Thanks to Beth Aaron for picking it for us, even though he just savaged it.
She did have to pick from her list, so
that is true.
I don't think she by any stretch, by just picking one name from a list, felt that emotionally attached to it.
Yeah, no. But we're very grateful for that. This is the last Patreon episode before October kicks off, before we get into the spookiest of months. And this October is going to be real spooky, and I can't wait for you guys to hear what we have in store, both on our main feed and here on Patreon. But until next month, when we're getting things going with a good spooky time, I've been Josh.
I've been Skinner.
Thanks, General Ramora, for talking very slowly there.
I thought with a runtime, like people are paying for this, they should get their money's worth.
And thanks for being a Patreon subscriber. We'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time. Next Shark Temper.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.